Rattler Up with Coach Walsh, a special Wednesday night edition live from the San Marcos High School Rattler Broadcast Studio. This is where you get all your information and everything you need to know about Rattler Athletics. I'm your host, CJ Odom, and with me as always, head football coach and athletic director for San Marcos CISD, Coach John Walsh. Coach, welcome to a special Wednesday night Rattler Up.
A little different, but let's do it.
It's a little different. We're gonna keep going though. We've got lots of sports to talk about, and we want to make sure that we get you updated on everything going on. It was a holiday Monday. What does that do for a practice schedule? How does that affect things when you've got that Monday off?
Well, I think as a coach, you got to strategically plan, the rest of your kids and their psyche. So, when a student hears it's a 3-day weekend, I mean that's pretty inviting. So, we gave the kids off Saturday morning, so they could get 2 days off with their friends and their classmates, and then we hit that Monday morning early, so they can have the rest of the day. So we do steal some sleep. But we are cognizant of make sure they get a 3-day weekend out of this.
Right. Now, has the weather affected things? You talk about getting out there early, but boy, this last week has been completely different than the standard 100-degree days we've been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, just mentally draining the sun can just get you. But this breeze and this cool weather and clouds has definitely been refreshing.
All right. Well, this week on Rattler Up, we're going to look back at the last week's battle with Clemens. We're going to preview this week's road game against Steele. And, of course, we'll be joined in studio by cross-country coach Dylan Jones, along with some of the runners from this year's cross-country squad. So, speaking of cross-country, Coach, when's the last time you ran 3 miles?
Nonstop?
Nonstop.
Been a while.
I'll
run and stop a little bit, but it's been a while.
All right, well, before we get to the gridiron and we talk cross-country, let's head to the courts and check in on our volleyball team. The Lady Rattlers currently sit at 2-4 in district. They hold the final playoff spot, an all-important playoff spot in 4th place. They've picked up wins against New Braunfels and Judson at home thus far, and will head on the road to face those teams as well in the remainder of the season, as well as a couple of home games against Steele and New Braunfels to round out the season. So 4 games to play. You're sitting in that final playoff spot. So what's the psyche like for a coach to get a team ready to go, hey, every one of these final 4 games can be make or break? Yeah,
you have to do that. You got to make the next game the most important. And I think like watching last night, we played against Church Clements, and we won. We took the first set, and every set was close and had a chance to be in the end if we would just play a little bit cleaner. And we're in great shape. You could tell in the first of district we were coming off injuries, especially to Grace Pactonak, who's our setter. And but we're in our groove now, and it looked like better volleyball last night. So you just got to keep gaining momentum, win the games you're supposed to win, and then hopefully knock off somebody else for a better seed. And I think we're headed to the playoffs with this group.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be a theme, I guess, perhaps today, where we talk about two different halves. We're going to talk about that in the football game from this past Friday night. But again, 2 halves of a volleyball season. The first half where you see your district opponents for the first time versus the second half with a fully rested, healthy team really makes the difference. Can that be almost an advantage when you slip into that 4th spot, but you're really a better team than maybe that indicates getting into the playoffs?
Well, I think for the momentum piece and internal with the San Marcos volleyball football family, you feel good about things. You really don't want to be that 4th seed to hit a number 1 seed, right? Yeah. So you're trying to knock somebody else off to gain a seed and find a better playoff route.
Now, I know different sports, probably this is a little bit bigger difference, but the difference between 4 and 3 can be huge. Am I right? Because that means you're either playing a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, it depends what district you're playing in. Some districts are just heavy from 1 to 4, and then some are just top heavy. 1 and 2 are really good, 3 and 4 aren't. So it just depends what district you're going up against. The one that we go up against is pretty salty. So you don't want to be a bottom seed, or you got your work cut out for you.
Get your work cut out, exactly. Well, again, get out and support our Lady Rattlers. That'll be beginning this Friday night as they take on Steele at 7 o'clock. Let's transition over to football, though, and take a look back at this past week's matchup as the Rattlers hit the road to Schertz to take on the Clemens Buffaloes. It was a common football expression, Coach, that this Rattlers-Buffaloes game was certainly a tale of 2 halves. Clemens jumps out to a quick 14-0 lead to begin, and after some stalls on Rattler offense and some turnover issues, they find themselves with a 35-7 lead in the second quarter. San Marcos was able to get some of those points back on the board before the half, with quarterback Cutter Gage Webb connecting to Tony Diaz on a 50-yard strike to make the score 35-14. But there was just enough time for Clemens to get back on the board one more time, and they have a 42-14 halftime lead. I'd love to see what that halftime speech looks like from you, Coach, because the Rattlers came out firing in the second half, beginning with an opening drive touchdown on a 40-yard connection between Webb and Diaz, following that up with a fumble recovery turn touchdown, and the lead was cut to 42-28. The Rattler defense got the stops they needed. The offense got it done again, and they were able to bring it as close as 42-34. But Clemens finally gets up off the mat and puts a scoring drive together of their own to extend the lead to 48-34. The Rattlers answer, however, making it 48-41 with a chance to recover an onside kick. But unfortunately, that was not successful. Clemens was able to run out the clock and secure what ended up being a hard-fought 48-41 victory. So, Coach, you're outscored in the first half 42-14, but then you dominate the second half 27-7. You fall just short of the victory, but even in the loss, you got to be incredibly proud of the team and their fight.
Yeah, I told him that after, and I think, you asked what was said at halftime, and I've been asked that several times immediately after the game and in the days after. It really wasn't, it was just really strategically getting the team ready to play a second half that you're down so much. And we just kept it about ourselves. We really weren't trying to go win the ball game at that point. We were trying to just, save face and win the second half. And then so we came out, and the defenses that we play, we're not hard to figure out offensively. We're going to run the football behind that big old line. And defenses, they can't double book on Tony. Mm-hmm. And they did heavily in that game in the second half. So we were able to run the football early.
It opened up options.
Yeah, early. And then when you put 2 on Tony, it takes a run fit out. So then immediately after, you run the ball successfully, and they're not double booking anymore, and they're just putting 1 on Tony. Then Cutter's got we give Cutter built-in RPOs to take advantage of it. When you leave Tony one-on-one, we're going to take advantage of it. So that's what took place. Our kids came out. We scored the first drive, and I'm like, all right, let's just kick off. Even Webb asked me, you want an onside kick? No, we're still down 21. Let's just be respectful. Let's play good defense. They fumble. We score again. And now I said, all right, now we're in the ball game. When we onside kicked that next one, I really should have gotten it. Mm-hmm. But then the kids they hit a different switch. And I've told them, if we build off your second half, the rest of the district, you're going to find yourself in some good football games. And I was really proud of them. No one likes to lose, but where we're at in our season right now, that second half it felt like really good football.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of those choices you make. I think a lot of players, or a lot of fans watching Rattler Up, maybe played a while back, and the game has definitely changed quite a bit. And so this may be much more common than people realize. But when you talk about that, giving your quarterback choices like that on the field, you obviously have to have the right player, which we do. We understand that Webb is an incredibly talented quarterback. Yeah. We've been blessed to have some really talented quarterbacks in your tenure here at San Marcos. But talk about how important it is to have an athlete that you can trust, to not just wait for the play call to come in on the sidelines and run that, but look up, make decisions. If they see the double, make the switch. Talk about the importance of having a quarterback to make those calls.
Yeah, and it helps that, I've been able to coach some kids that were coaches' kids at the quarterback position. They've been around it since they were born, right? So they, those are some of the first words they've heard, is football or baseball terms. That's Cutter. So he understands the game really well. He understands that Tony's a unique talent, and when he's by himself, that the other night he did it. Most of our calls have it built in. Some of our calls do not have it built in. And he pulled up and threw a ball to Tony one time, and I wasn't ready for it, and it was off script, and it wasn't part of it, but it made sense. All right. Yeah, so we just said, no problem, just go do it again. So we do trust him. You got to understand the game, and then luckily Tony gets it too. Tony sees, and they have this communication now where they don't have to signal, particular routes they're going to run. Like, hey, we're going post, right? They can see leverage together and know where the ball needs to be without even signaling. So nice. It's really a nice thing to watch with those two work.
Is that something that may be kind of difficult to build? I mean, we don't want to just say we're lucky to have Tony and Webb doing that, but even dating into, you got Goodnight and Miller right now. We talked off screen, undefeated seasons at the middle school. We've got this great program coming up. We know all about the incredible talent we have at the JV level. But is that the kind of thing that's also on a coach's mind? I guess this is probably more an athletic director's mind, right? To build that kind of knowledge. You're lucky to have a coach's kid, but we want that across the program as much as possible, right?
Yeah, we'll build in RPOs, run pass options throughout, right? And that'll be staples for us. But the things that I'm talking about that Cutter and Tony do are pretty extra special, just on one-on-one matchups. But we'll build in schemes that are RPOs from the 7th grade up.
Right. Now, of course, you don't get the W you're looking for, but the victory, of course, with the second half is huge. What other victories, what other big positive takeaways do you get from that game Friday night?
Well, I think other than the offense of scoring a lot of points, I think everybody's forgetting the defense caused more turnovers. I think we've caused more turnovers with this football team than we have ever, which should turn into more wins. It hasn't. And then, but our special teams has been exemplary. Coach Walsh has done a great job of the week before we got a fake punt. We got another one last week in that second half that kept us going too. So I just think it was a collective effort of everything we've coached and everything the kids have been coached on and been coachable coming together in 2 quarters, and we just got to figure out how to do it for 4 quarters.
Well, I think that the interesting thing for fans, especially especially with the district set up the way it is, we talked at the beginning of the season that you have a lot more non-district games, and so when you look at the overall record, we haven't been able to get that victory yet this season. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, we're 1 game in.
Right.
It didn't go the way we wanted it, but we were competitive. Hell of a second half. We were going to talk here in a little bit. Of course, we've got Steele, but we're not necessarily where we want to be, I wouldn't say, but we're certainly not in any kind of panic mode. We're in a place where we have a chance to really set our trajectory toward the playoffs just like we thought we would, correct?
Yeah, and I told somebody last week, it was about another program and talking about culture, and I just told them, I said, you pick any time to come to our practices next week, and you tell me if you see an 0-16 practice, and the energy's there, the attitude's there, coaches are coaching hard, kids are being responsive. So now we're not where we want to be record-wise, but program-wise, I feel good about it.
Right. I think that's something that you talk about the RPOs and some of the trust between the quarterback and the players, but that's again a culture thing. We talked a lot about culture on Rattler Up. That culture of not giving up, that culture of they're sitting in the half ready to go out and just we'll just dominate the second half. That's something that gets brought up by having a program from 6 to 12, correct?
No, and I just think, especially with the game of football, there's a lot of hard love. There's a lot of hard coaching, but I think it speaks to all the good love we give too, and the kids responding and just trusting each other, whether it's players trusting coaches or vice versa, or just players trusting players. I've always said athletics is a beautiful thing because it's great when you're winning and winning championships. But I'm that idiot that likes to struggle too, and just watch how kids react to it, and really how adults react to it. So it's winning is not fun, but the process is always fun.
Awesome. Well, we're going to look later on at this week's district matchup against the Steel Knights, but right now,
say winning's not fun?
I think we knew what you meant. Okay, winning's a lot of fun.
Yeah, winning's a lot of fun.
Winning's a lot of fun. All right, well, right now we're going to head to break, but when we return, we're going to be joined live in studio by cross-country head coach Dylan Jones and some of the players from his outstanding cross-country team. We're going to talk about how great they did this year. We'll have that and more all when we return. Keep it here on Rattler Up. Welcome back to Rattler Up, the place to be for all updates on Rattler Nation. We're a special Wednesday night edition of Rattler Up, live from the Rattler Broadcast Studio here in San Marcos High School. And joining us now in studio are members of the cross-country team alongside their head coach, Dylan Jones. Coach, welcome into Rattler Up.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, Coach, we're glad to have you here, and we're glad to have the team focused on, and we're going to talk about how they did this season. Of course, it's been a great season. We got some things to celebrate, but we want to first let folks know a little bit more about you. So why don't you tell us about yourself, introduce yourself to the people watching at home, and just how you came to join us here in San Marcos.
Sure, yeah. So born and raised in San Marcos. I'm a San Marcos native, so really proud and glad to be coaching in a community that I grew up in. 12 years in the district, and this is my 7th year coaching. So actually first year at the high school, previously was the head coach at Miller. So really cool to kind of full circle come and coach some of the kids that I've coached since 6th grade.
Yeah, so in this case, you got these guys started, and now you get to be here for this
Right.
run of success. So tell us a little bit about the run of success. I've got all the notes here, but they don't want to hear me talk. They want to hear you brag. Tell
Sure.
us about how great the season went.
So season's been great. These guys have been working hard since summer, since June, putting in work since June. And it all came to a head yesterday, and we had a great district meet. Both teams qualified, girls and boys qualified for a regional meet. And we had 4 top 10 finishers. So overall, it's a great day yesterday.
Now, according to the research that I did on my own, completely and totally on my own, I hear that that's the first time in 8 years that both teams have qualified for regionals. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, so we've
It's
had
called show preparation. That's what we do there.
I'm impressed.
we've had
Thanks, Connor.
seasons that we've sent some individuals out, but it's been a while since we've had our teams out. So
All right, well, let's share some of those names and make sure they get their and then we're going to talk about who we got here. But the boys team qualifying for regionals: Connor McLaughlin, Tucker Jones, Adrian Rangel, Adrian Castanon, Tyler Swain, and Terry Barnes. And the girls team qualifying for regionals as well: Alexandria Juarez, Eleanor Smith, Erilyn Julian, Nelly Barboza, Rowena Brown, and Grace Hernandez. So, Coach, why don't you, we'll turn it over to the folks that have joined us here. So we've got 4 individuals, and we'll have you guys introduce yourselves, tell us what grade you're in, how you did at district, and also share with us something else you do at San Marcos High School besides cross country. And we'll let whoever wants to start first go.
My name's Connor McLaughlin. I'm a junior, and I got first place yesterday at district, and I also play soccer.
Oh, my name's Alexandria Juarez. I got 3rd place at at district, and I play soccer too.
Hey, my name is Eleanor Smith. I'm a freshman, and I placed 4th overall at district, and I also do art at Miller.
My name is Tucker Jones. I'm a freshman. I placed 5th at district, and I also do theater.
All right, awesome. So we always like to highlight the rounded nature of our athletes, and this is just exactly the same as we expect. So let me talk to you guys individually and just kind of hear a little bit about what's going on. So I'd like to know from all 4 of you to start with just what made you interested in joining cross country. When did you get started, and what appealed to you about being there? So when we go through that same order and hear everybody's answer on that one.
Well, I really just started running because that's what my older brother did also, and I was just like, well, I want to be faster than him, so that's kind of just why I started doing it.
Healthy competition, I like that.
Well, it was kind of like a family thing. Like my dad and my mom did running, so it was just kind of like, oh, go do running. And so and now I'm here.
My older sister also ran here. She invited me to join practice one day, and I liked cross country, so I did it.
I did run club in 5th grade, and I just stuck with it. Yep.
And my dad's head coach. I don't have a choice.
And he pushed me.
Little polite nudge. All right, well, and I'll let anybody answer this one. What are some of the most difficult things about the cross-country season for you guys? Who wants to grab that one?
Waking up early, to be honest.
Talk to us about that. We've talked about it a little bit, but we want to hear it firsthand. Tell everybody what that routine is like for you guys every day.
Well, I live kind of far, so I have to wake up a little earlier. I live in Wimberley, but I mean, you get used to it, but like, I depend a lot on my parents getting me here every day. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
What time do you guys get started typically?
What is it?
7.
7, yeah.
So 7 o'clock, you're already on the road running at that point?
That's when we start like warming up and
Right.
start like going through all the exercises
Right.
to get ready.
How much in a week, Connor, do you feel like you guys run on average?
This year I've been running on average probably 45 miles a week.
What about you? What are you thinking on your mileage average?
Oh, I usually average like 20, 25 miles, and Connor's insane, so.
But it's obviously going to take a lot. Now, tell folks that don't know how the competition works, what is the race that you have to run in the meet? How much do you have to, what's the mileage you have to cover for competition?
Oh, it's a 5K, so it's about 3 miles.
Okay. Is that for both teams?
Yeah.
Okay. What has been, for you guys, what has been the highlight of your season? What has been one of the best things? And not necessarily about you individually, but just as your team, in the boys team, the girls team, or the unit together, what has been some of the highlights of the season?
I think going to Arkansas, getting exposure from teams like outside of the state, and just it was real fun to go out to Arkansas.
Awesome. What about you?
Mine was definitely Arkansas too. It was fun to get out there and have fun with the whole team. It was also really fun to watch the college running and see how fast they are, see that next level.
Okay.
They went out to Fayetteville.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So when we've talked about you get up in the morning, you're up and going at 7 o'clock already. I know lots of our viewers have seen you guys out there, but talk about some of the places that you run typically in the training. I know we see you in the Bowie neighborhood. Somebody talk us through some routes that you're taking as you're training.
He's going to get some trouble with that question.
We have like 2 main routes. At the high school, we go to Embassy Suites, and that's like our long run sort of. And then we also go to the Bowie neighborhoods, like down to the pond over there. And sometimes we just run like in the high school. During the summer, we go to like a lot of different places, like the baseball fields and Travis Elementary. I like summer more.
Despite the heat.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
All right, well, Coach, as we talk here, we got freshmen and juniors here representing us, and these kids are going to regionals already. How exciting is that for you, a coach, to know that you've got all these kids coming back? This isn't a, hey, what a great year. This is, and we're going to do it again next year. How exciting is that for you?
It's very exciting. You know, I think on the girls' side, we don't have a single senior. So
Wow.
we get everybody back. We do lose a few on the boys' side, but we're lucky. You know, we have Connor and Allie, both juniors, kind of leading the way for some young and talented freshmen. So it's super exciting. The future's definitely bright.
So as a coach, I'm interested in obviously we hear this 25-mile, 45-mile, this incredible training regimen. So now we've qualified for regionals. It's 2 weeks out, or I guess a week and a half out now, right? So how do you balance that as a coach? Like, we want to push, we want to get ready, but oh my God, we're scared of injury going into regionals.
Right.
So how do you balance that, getting them ready, but keeping them safe?
So that, you know, really comes back from to the start of the summer. And, you know, the 4 sitting here and the majority of our team is very consistent in the summer. And we build that base so we can go further into the season and stay injury free. So this next week and a half is really just staying sharp. We have a few workouts planned. But really that, like I said, the base is there. They've put in all the work to kind of be ready for this point.
So where will the regional race be held?
It's down in Corpus.
In Corpus. And what place are they going to have to be? What place is advanced to state?
So top 4 teams will advance to state, and then top 10 individual.
Right.
Qualifying teams don't take the place of those top 10 individuals, so it'll roll past that top 10 spot. So.
All right, so we're excited to see where that goes. We got regionals coming up with a chance to qualify for state. Excited about this team, excited about the future of this team as well, obviously. So for the students, we want to give you an opportunity. We always give our student athletes a chance to do a shout out. So we're live on television here, and you've got hot mics, and it hasn't burned us yet, Coach. So how about we give you a chance to throw some shout outs back home or to whoever you want to send some love to?
Oh, I want to just say thank you to my family. They're like a big support, and like everything I do, soccer, running, everything, they're always there. My sisters and my dad and my mom always waking me up in the mornings. And yeah, just want to say thank you. Love you guys.
I really like to thank my parents. They get up early like every day that I do to go take me to practice, and it means a lot.
Shout out to my dad, Coach Jones, waking me up and everything like that. And yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just really like to say thank you to my parents and my whole family. They're really supportive, and they really helped me out through this whole process.
All right, well, cross-country team, good luck to you at regionals. Very proud of the season that you've had. We're excited to hear about everything else going on. So parents that all just got those shout outs, shout out to you too. Thank you so much for sharing your students with us. We're proud of what you've done with them, and we're proud of what they're accomplishing. So thanks for joining us on Rattler Up, guys. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yep.
All right, well, we look forward to that in a couple of weeks. And, of course, we'll keep you updated here on Rattler Up about how that goes. And, of course, now we want to also take a look at what else is coming up here soon. And that is this Friday night, as we have Friday nights lights to look forward to this time as the Rattlers take on the Steel Knights on the road, a 7:30 kickoff. So let's look ahead to that matchup. Of course, Coach Steele is always a huge obstacle on the football field, and this year is no different. They currently sit at 5-1, with their only loss being to Lake Travis in Week 2. They won their first and only district game thus far, a 27-14 win over New Braunfels, and they will be hosting the Rattlers in their first district home game for the year. Max Preps has them ranked number 17 currently in Texas, so expectations for a deep playoff run, of course, for Steele. Now, we faced teams like this before. We faced this specific team before. Right. When you're the underdog going in, what's the preparation like? And does anything need to change in the weeks leading up to a game like this?
Not too much changes. I think your game plan changes. They're easily top 3 in the region, whether it's Division I or Division II. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're good. The Lake Travis game, they don't make a few mistakes. They got a chance to win that ball game because the momentum just shifted on them pretty quick. But no, they're extremely talented. They're good everywhere. There's not a weak spot. So from our standpoint, we keep it taking care of ourselves. We know we got to run the football, or it's going to be a really long night. So we're just going to try to stay ahead of the chains, keep the clock running. And the best thing you can do when you're an underdog is make the game short, and maybe they'll make some mistakes and they hurt themselves by the time you get to the fourth quarter.
So time of possession becomes a big deal in a position you're in there, right?
100%.
So you talk about offense, of course, running the ball, making sure we got that happening. What about on the defensive side? They've got such a powerful offense. What specifically will our defense see that maybe they haven't seen this year or haven't seen at this level?
Yeah, just the explosiveness from everybody. They're big and strong up front, but everybody that touches the ball is, they got an OU commit. They got another running back that comes in that's got Division I offers, and then the receivers are long and fast. So we've seen some good football teams with skill players, but not like this. So the speed's they're going to have to adjust pretty quick.
And I assume too that the depth is there as well for a team at this level, right?
Yeah.
How does that play into your preparation?
And nothing really, because we can't worry about what numbers. We know Steele's on the other side, but we really can't worry about what number 17, number 1, number 8. We just got to take care of ourselves in games like this.
All right, well, 2 more home games and 2 more road games. Like we said, we're only 1 game in. We just got started. It seems like we're deep in, but when the schedule's set up the way it is, we're only 1 game into what counts. So with 2 away and 2 at home, what are your thoughts on the rest of the season as we look at it? I know we're not going to look too much past Steele, but as you kind of map out these final 4 weeks, what are you seeing? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I got no problem looking past Steele. With Judson at our place, it'll be a good game. I think they have explosive talent too, but I think we match up well in the trenches with those guys. So when we come back home, that's going to be a fun night. And then the New Braunfels game is always the last possession ball game for us.
It has been.
We've had success against East Central, and I'm lost there. That's it.
That's it. That's your 4, isn't it?
That's 3. 5 games.
And
5
Steele,
games.
right?
Yeah, Steele. Yeah.
So
I looked past Steele.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that we talk about it a lot, and it may sound like I'm just cheerleading, trying to get people out to the game, but when you talk about a run like this, you talk about a New Braunfels game that historically has been a 1-possession game. Mm-hmm. When you talk about a Judson game that you've got to anticipate is going to be close, East Central is typically that way. I can't speak enough to the fact that having the fans pack the stands on the road and at home, that could be the difference in a 1-possession ball game. Am I right?
Yeah. No. When we're at home, this season at home's been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. The stands have been full and they've been great, and I know kids feed off it.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that happens. A Final 4 run here as we head down to Schertz this Friday night to take on the Knights, and then we continue on with our march to the playoffs here in our district. Well, that's going to do it for Rattler Up this week. We're excited to give you our regular update on all things Rattler Nation here on a Wednesday night special edition of Rattler Nation. Rattler Up, we appreciate Coach Jones and his team for stopping by, and we'll keep you updated with their Rattler regional tournament coming up here real soon. Before we go, we want to take a look at some upcoming chances, and we talked about them earlier, and they're both this Friday night. So first of all, this Friday night, we got the Lady Rattlers back in the Snake Pit to take on Steele as they look to hold on to their playoff spot. That game starts at 7 o'clock. and the other San Marcos Steel matchup also on Friday night as the Rattlers head down to Schertz in football to take on the Knights with kickoff at 7:30. So before we know it, Coach, we're going to have basketball season, and we're going to get really busy around here. Am I right?
It picks up pretty quick.
It gets going quick. So, Coach, before we go, we always like to look at outside of San Marcos a little bit. So, I ask you about Texas State. Tough loss to Louisiana game. A lot of folks feel like they should have won. They had the lead, gave it away at the end there, but they're still 4-2. They're facing Louisiana Monroe Saturday at Bobcat Stadium. You would think with 5 games to go, picking up 2 ought to be getting themselves bowl eligible. But as we talked about before we went on the air, 6 may not be that bowl eligible number for this team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you're them, 6 is the magic number, but you want 7 to ensure it. And of course, they need to get Monroe, they need to get Arkansas State, and we're good enough to beat anybody else. But this conference is so tough. I think South Alabama and Coastal Carolina and Troy have all beat Power 5 teams already. So they're the worst cut out, but they got a shot. It's a good football team to watch.
I keep cheering for Baylor over on the side to make that Baylor victory more valuable.
With that RPI high.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, we always talk Dallas Cowboys, but not this week because screw them. How about those Texans, Coach? They're only 1 game worse than the Cowboys with a 2-3 record. You think they've got the real deal with Stroud?
Yeah, he's going to be a good quarterback, but they're still far gone too. So
ways to go.
We need to change states.
Yes, we got to find something to now. Well, I think as long as I'm upset and not happy, they have a chance to win. I allowed myself to get a little excited, so I'm going to own that one. I cost us that game against the Niners.
I tried to tell everybody, don't get excited about it beating a New York team, and we got way too excited.
That one's on me, so I'll take that one. Well, that does it for this week. As always, we want to thank Jack and Josh for running the audio-video program here at San Marcos High School, here in the lovely Rattler broadcast studio, and our student directors in the control room for making us look as good as they can under these hot lights. We'll be back again next week, but for Coach Walsh, I'm CJ Odom. Thanks for watching Rattler Up.